The impacted 66 retirees sued the city in 2013 instead of accepting a pension settlement. Fast forward to a legal victory in June that has led to no pension check in September. It is a legal battle dating back 7 years when a group of Providence retirees sued, hoping to keep their COLAs. Their lawsuit was dismissed, but in June, a Supreme Court decision sent the case back to the lower court, where a city spokesperson says the two sides will argue about damages and back pay. The city blames this lien filed by the retirees' attorneys for outstanding legal fees for stopping the September 30th checks. According to the city, the plaintiffs' attorneys were told about the delay, but some retirees say they were never informed.
They had no warning. They had, all of a sudden, their bills are being automatically deducted from their checking accounts, and all of those are bouncing.
Simino tells us while the city claims the lien stopped the September payments, after years in court, he is suspicious.
People know that it was a spiteful, okay, here's an opportunity to zing them one more time, so let's do it.
The plaintiff's attorneys have not responded to requests for comment. A city spokesperson tells us the direct deposit payment should arrive sometime this week, but she says it will be longer for anyone who receives paper checks. With the Target 12 investigators, Walt Buteau, 12 News. After his plea last week for a September DUI charge, Ferroli's license was suspended again, but that does not mean he can't drive. North Providence Director of Buildings James Ferroli was arrested twice in 20 months starting in March of 2015 on DUI charges while off the clock, according to court records reviewed by Target 12. His no contest plea for a September DUI case carries a 1-year license suspension. According to the Attorney General's office, Ferroli now has a breathalyzer device attached to his truck, and for the next 60 days, he can only drive to and from work in North Providence. We're told he is allowed to drive North Providence vehicles during that time, and after the 60-day period, he'll have fewer driving restrictions, but he has to keep the breathalyzer on the truck for a year. This morning around 9, Target 12 undercover cameras were recording as Ferroli and Mayor Charlie Lombardi walked around Lombardi's Narragansett home after driving here in a North Providence town-owned Chevy Tahoe. At one point, Lombardi walked briskly back to the house and appeared to get car keys from Ferroli before he jogged to the Tahoe and drove away quickly. Lombardi was not available to talk on camera today, but told us Ferroli had the day off, but did drive the town vehicle to Narragansett with him. Target 12 has reached out to Ferroli about his plea, but he has not responded. After we recorded Ferroli driving the town vehicle on a suspended license last year, he blamed what he called a paper mistake, and we found out he did get his license reinstated the day after we contacted him. At the time, we also spotted him driving the mayor's privately owned SUV. We asked the mayor back then if he was concerned about Ferroli driving town vehicles with his driving record.
This is going to be for the 4th time. Knowing the facts the way I do, no.
Mayor Lombardi told us today he has access to a town vehicle 24 hours a day with no restrictions on where he can drive. With the Target 12 investigators, Walt Buteau, Eyewitness News. Two connections tie these 4 accidents together. The small planes were all towing advertisement banners and flying for the same company. The pilot behind the controls of the plane that buzzed in low over this East Matunic neighborhood and came to a stop just short of a hydrangea bush on this front lawn received his license to fly in January. An FAA spokesman would not tell us how many flights 25-year-old Willard Burke has piloted in the 5 months since he received his license, saying investigators are still gathering information. Burke's contact information is not available at this time. Burke was flying an advertisement banner for Simmons Aviation, and Target 12 found out that company is named in 4 of the 14 NTSB airplane accident investigations in Rhode Island since 2009. One involved owner Mark Simmons, who ditched a plane in the ocean off Westerly in 2012 after engine problems while he was flying a "Will You Marry Me" banner. On 4th of July in 2016, this Cessna was ditched in the water off Bonnet Shores while flying an advertising banner for Simmons with Jeremiah Colohan in the pilot's seat. Target 12 later discovered FAA records indicated Colohan lacked the required pilot license medical certification to fly. On 4th of July in 2009, a Simmons Aviation Piper Pawnee made an emergency landing on a Westerly lawn, again towing a banner. And another NTSB accident report out of New Jersey from 2010 indicates Simmons was forced to avoid a golfer as he landed a plane on a New Jersey country club fairway. No one was injured in any of these accidents. Simmons has not responded to multiple requests for comment. With the Target 12 investigators, Walt Buteau, Eyewitness News. One lawmaker tells Target 12 the business owner, who also has a contract with the Department of Environmental Management, claimed he was being harassed by his neighbors, but property owners insist they sometimes can't even open their windows. Skydrone 12 gives you a look above Northeastern Tree Service located off Pontiac Avenue. The business's neighbors tell us odors, noise, and debris have become especially bad over the last few years.
It's the noise. It's much more intense, much longer than it has ever been.
This is what it sounds like inside Jim Walsh's home when trees are being ground into mulch. On Eddy Street, several homes are shadowed by this towering stack of logs and piles of mulch. 7 of the 8 lawmakers who sponsored the 2013 bill represent Cranston, and record shows 6 have received campaign contributions over the years from Northeastern owner Michael S. Seepy. When the bill was being debated, a Save the Bay policy analyst wrote in an email, "This might be a piece of special interest legislation." Representative Mike Chippendale spoke out against it when it was part of the Right to Farm Act. 7 years later, Chippendale questions the scope of the law.
It seemed to ignore the rights of those neighborhoods for people to enjoy a life without nuisance.
Richard Ayers offers this challenge to the lawmakers who sponsored the bill.
Let them come stand in our shoes for a month. They wouldn't make it.
The business owner has yet to respond to requests for comment. His neighbors are going to the city tomorrow night looking for help. With the Target 12 investigators, Walt Buteau, Eyewitness News. Little Compton administrators say they're doing everything they can to help the district heal, but parents, both black and white, tell us school committee members have not helped. Little Compton is a town of just under 3,500 people with one school for about 250 students K through 8. The 3-year-old Halloween party picture of a local man in blackface dressed up as a criminal in a group that included 2 members of the parent-student-teacher organization was posted on social media earlier this month. Town council member Andrew Moore's reaction.
I was disgusted. Just one of many reasons why we need to condemn the racism in our community.
Devastating for African Americans.
Keith Stokes, vice president of the 1696 Heritage Group, tells us the history of blackface recalls horror, not humor.
At the time when this use of blackface or black stereotyping was peaking in the early 20th century, so was the Ku Klux Klan. That was the peak of lynchings.
Several parents tell us the surfacing of the picture was the latest race-related incident that started with an altercation last fall. 1 student was suspended and a half dozen others implicated in a bullying incident, including racially charged names aimed at a student whose thumb was broken in a physical confrontation. But since then, parents who asked not to be identified for fear of exposing their children say the bullying has continued. "My child no longer wanted to go to school," one parent tells Target 12. Another parent says, "You don't have to be a person of color for this to affect you. It needs to be out in the light to stop it," another parent says. Target 12 reached out to every school board member to comment on claims they've worsened the racial divide, but none of the 5 responded. School District Attorney John Anderson emphasizes the PSTO is not affiliated with the school committee or the district. And he says the photograph is very disturbing, but the Little Compton School Department is not in the position of policing adults, whether it's photographs or involving who raises their child in what way. The town council has since passed a resolution sponsored by Moore condemning racism.
Even one incident is one incident too many. Even if it is one person in town that has been victimized, we need to stand up for that person and stand with them.
Both PTSO members who resigned tell us they are sorry they were in that picture. Parents who claim the town remains divided say they hope they will feel safe enough soon to come forward and help the town heal. With the Target 12 investigators, Walt Buteau, Eyewitness News. There are no handicapped parking spots close to this West Warwick playground, and the problems continue well after you're out of the car. There are issues before you even get past the fence.
As you start to pull the gate open, you're rolling backwards, and you'll flip off.
The gate sticks when you swing it the other way.
Yeah.
You can't get through this spot.
Well, nobody can get through that spot.
Bob Cooper, executive secretary of the Governor's Commission on Disabilities, worked his way across the Civic Center playground, telling us while mulch can be used as a ground surface, it has to be level.
Get my workout trying to maneuver through and going uphill all the time.
Imagine a child doing that.
Yes.
Cooper showed us another issue involving small valleys in the surface made by kids around the few devices that are handicapped accessible.
Yeah, because if you get to here, then you're going downhill in a hurry.
The project cost just under $150,000 according to town records, paid for in large part by a $100,000 grant from DEM earmarked to build a handicapped accessible playground. Documents obtained by Target 12 indicate the playground was approved by a town inspector in February. Alan Palazzo, who filed the complaint with the Commission on Disabilities earlier this year, is relieved the state is now involved, but not happy. His local tax dollars will be used to repair what he considers avoidable mistakes.
If they would have just taken the time to plan and done this thing correctly, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
I would not imagine that most kids using a wheelchair are going to get much beyond the gate.
The town met with the state today, and according to Cooper, West Warwick will be making a series of changes at the town's expense. We have more details on what happens next on WPRI.com. With the Target 12 investigators, Walt Buteau, Eyewitness News.